My name is Stephanie Sawyer. I've been married to Ethan for 7 years. We have one daughter in elementary school. I never believed it when people said you could love someone so much it hurts, but becoming a mom made me realize it's true. However, when we found out our first child was a girl, Emma, my mother-in-law, immediately started demanding we have another. Apparently, a girl isn't good enough. Still, since Ethan's family is just a regular working-class family with nothing to inherit, there's no need for this pressure.
Why haven't you had a second child yet?
I hear this every time we visit my in-laws. We're just letting nature take its course.
You can't just leave it to nature. You absolutely must have a boy.
Sigh. Even so, after our daughter was born, Ethan became uncooperative about having another child. Even when I told Ethan what his mother said, he just replied, "Ignore her. She'll give up eventually." About 2 years into our marriage, there was talk of moving in with her, and despite feeling down, I agreed to it, even though she didn't care much for our daughter. As expected, I was criticized about not having a second child almost daily.
Another month and still no baby? You're a terrible wife. Why can't you have another child? Are you not even trying?
I couldn't exactly say it was because Ethan wasn't interested. I was getting fed up with being the only one blamed every day. Then she said something outrageous.
Ethan is going to marry Hillary.
What? Marry Hillary? Who is that?
Didn't Ethan tell you?
No.
Ethan's mistress.
What? I looked at Ethan, who was completely engrossed in a game on his phone, not participating in the conversation at all. I turned back to her. Is she losing it? As I tilted my head in confusion, she shouted,
So, hurry up and get out.
"Oh, Emma? Ethan hasn't said anything about this. How can you tell me to leave without any explanation?" Annoyed, Emma called Ethan over and forced him to join the conversation. I don't care how much she tries to involve him. There's no way he has a mistress. That's what I thought. But then, "Oh, you mean Hillary? Yeah, I'm divorcing you to marry her." He said it as casually as if he was switching from potatoes to carrots. What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Just pack up and move out. My new daughter-in-law is coming.
Explain yourself.
My mom already told you. My new wife is moving in.
So, you've been cheating on me?
It's not cheating.
Yeah, they're having a serious relationship.
A serious relationship? When did this even happen? This is betrayal.
It's just the way it is. You're not having another kid, so.
Are you saying you cheated because we haven't had another child? And Emma knew about it?
Yes, that's why I've been telling you to have a boy. But you insisted on leaving it to nature. And look where that got you.
Here's the divorce papers. Sign them and file them.
Ethan pulled the divorce papers from a drawer, placed them on the table, and went back to looking at his phone. This is an important discussion, and you're playing a game on your phone?
It's not a big deal. You're overreacting. Just sign the divorce papers.
I can't understand why it's like this. Emma keeps talking about kids, but you don't even try. She says we need a boy, but with you being so uncooperative, how are we supposed to have another child?
Oh, so you're blaming Ethan when it's really your fault?
Why is it my fault?
If a husband isn't interested, it's always the wife's fault.
What? That's ridiculous.
That's why I was against this marriage. You were already 28 when you got married. I was worried you wouldn't be able to have kids. And look, I was right.
But we did have a child. We have a daughter.
And I'm telling you, that's not good enough. Girls just grow up and leave. They're useless.
Children aren't born to be useful.
You're so arrogant. I hate how arrogant an old woman like you can be.
This is terrible. I've listened to everything Ethan said, trying to keep the peace at home.
You know, that's the problem. You're so boring.
What? Boring.
Yeah. You never complain. You just say yes to everything I say. That's boring. But Hillary, she has her own opinions. I like that.
How could this be happening? I accepted living with Emma, and I never argued back, no matter what she said. That was all for Ethan's sake. And now he calls that boring?
And besides, you can't even give us a son. I'm done expecting anything from you. You're already 35. It's impossible now. Ethan would be better off with a younger woman.
Emma said this with a sneer. And I remembered. Since getting married, I've been ridiculed and endured Emma's cruel words. I was compared to other wives in the neighborhood and called a failure, criticized for my cooking. I was scolded for not educating our child properly when she misbehaved. When I asked Ethan for help, he never took my side. What were these 7 years of endurance for? And now, Ethan's infidelity is the final straw. When did you start the affair? Where did you meet this Hillary?
When? Let's see. It was about a year after we got married.
What? 6 years ago? Around the time I gave birth?
Yeah. You know, like Mom said, younger women have better skin.
How low can he go? Where did you meet her?
Oh, Mom introduced us.
What? Emma did.
Yes, she was working part-time at a place I go to, and I thought she was perfect for Ethan, so I introduced them.
Does she know you're married?
Yeah, she knows. But she said she doesn't mind as long as we get divorced.
She knew and still had an affair with you. How old is she?
Why do you care? You've already lost, so just let it go.
No, my husband was taken from me. I have the right to know.
Fine. She's 30.
She's 10 years younger than you?
Exactly, so she'll probably give us a healthy baby.
Emma, are you saying you encouraged this affair just to have a baby?
Oh, once she has the baby, she'll live with us as a family. I didn't mean just for her to have the baby and leave. That's why I'm telling you to get out since you can't have one.
This can't be happening.
She even said she wants to marry him, so all that's left is for you to leave. Now, hurry up and sign the papers.
They pointed at the divorce papers and pressured me to sign. Being told to hurry over and over again, I began to lose my ability to think. At that moment, I saw my daughter standing at the door with a worried expression. She was standing quietly at the entrance, looking at us. Our daughter is watching.
Huh?
It's not good to talk about this in front of her. Let's discuss this another day.
Oh, it's fine. It saves us the trouble of explaining later. Besides, once we're divorced, she'll have to understand anyway.
But it will hurt her.
She'll be fine. This kind of thing happens in every family. Divorce is common nowadays.
I stared at Ethan. How could he say that? Doesn't he care about our daughter at all? Thinking about it made me realize how ridiculous it was to stay with these people. Another part of me seemed to emerge, urging, just sign and get it over with. So I picked up the pen and signed the divorce papers. Okay, I've signed. Is this good enough? I tossed the pen aside, and Emma picked up the papers, scrutinizing them.
Yes, this is perfect. Now get out.
What?
It's strange to live in the same house after a divorce. The new wife wouldn't like that. So please leave.
But leaving immediately is.
Oh, we want you out as soon as possible.
I have a child. It's not that simple.
Well, I thought signing the papers meant you were ready for this. Weren't you prepared at all?
Fine. Leave within a week. Is that okay with you, Mom?
Yes, that's fine.
Their words made me feel like the past 7 years had been erased with an eraser. I felt a chill as I took my daughter's hand and went to the bedroom. Humming, Ethan left the house, probably to see his mistress. Emma left soon after, possibly to visit a friend. I heard the front door close. The house became eerily quiet, the only sound being the motor of the fridge, which seemed particularly cold. My daughter clung to me, crying. It's okay. There's nothing to worry about. I won't let this end here. No, this is where we'll start over. I told myself as I picked up my phone and made a call. Less than a week later, I had packed up and arranged for a truck. The front hallway was piled high with boxes. Seeing that, Ethan and Emma showed their delight.
You're finally leaving.
Well, it took you long enough.
That's a lot of boxes.
You're not planning to take the appliances too, are you?
Can't you see? None of the appliances are missing.
Well, I just wanted to make sure.
With all our daughter's stuff, it's bound to be this much, Mom. It shows how much money I've spent on them.
What a waste.
Absolutely. Wasted money on people who are useless.
You haven't forgotten anything, right? Don't expect us to send you anything you leave behind.
I've got everything.
Good. The house will feel much bigger now. It was suffocating before.
While the truck was being loaded, Ethan and Emma lounged on the living room sofa, and Emma turned on the TV. Ethan didn't even bother to say goodbye to our daughter, engrossed in his phone game. How can they be like this? Even at the end, they remained so cold. The little pain I felt was replaced by relief. Everything was ending, and a new beginning was on the horizon. My daughter watched me giving instructions to the movers while clutching her stuffed animal. Her face still showed signs of anxiety, with tears welling up in her eyes. It's okay. There's nothing to worry about. I patted her head, trying to convey my reassurance. When all the boxes were loaded onto the truck, Ethan and Emma came to the front door.
Is it done?
Yes, it's finished.
Oh, you're finally leaving. Now we can invite her over.
Yes, finally. This is goodbye then, Ethan.
Yeah. Just hurry up and leave.
Rather than saying goodbye here at the front door, Considering everything, could you come to the truck for a proper farewell?
What? Why should we do that?
We've been family for 7 years, so I thought it would be appropriate. This is goodbye after all.
Seriously, you're so particular about strange things. As long as you leave, that's all that matters to us.
Yes, which is why I'd appreciate it if you come to the truck. I have no sentimental feelings either.
Mom, it's fine. Let's just end this properly.
Oh, really? Well, if Ethan says so.
Emma said that, slipped on her sandals, and stepped outside. Ethan followed, putting on the last remaining pair of sandals. I took my daughter's hand and walked out with them, nodding firmly to the movers. Then one of the movers said, "Sir, please get in the truck."
What? Why do I have to get in?
Don't worry, Emma, you get in too.
Wait, why do I have to get in?
Because you need to. You'll understand once you're inside.
Wait, no. What's going on?
The movers pushed them towards the truck. Though they protested, they didn't shout, worried about the neighbors hearing them. Concerned about appearances, they reluctantly climbed into the truck.
Ethan, what's going on?
I don't know. But causing a scene now would be embarrassing. Let's just get in and figure it out later.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, only if you can return. I said that to myself. With that, I closed the truck door and waved my daughter's hand at them. The movers nodded, started the engine, and drove off. My daughter stared at the departing truck in confusion, but I smiled at her and said, "How about a snack?" Inside the house, I calmed her down with some snacks I had bought. It was a small cake that seemed out of place for the situation. "Let's eat." As we ate the cake, I explained that her father and grandmother had moved out. My little daughter must have thought that she was leaving this house behind. She was surprised by the sudden change, but I reassured her that everything would be fine. Her smile returned. It seemed she wasn't sad about losing her tyrannical father and cold grandmother. Even a child can sense who is in the wrong. About an hour later, just as I expected, Ethan called.
Hey, what is going on?
"Oh, have you arrived?"
Yeah, but this is her apartment.
"That's right. You said you wanted to live with her, so I sent you to her place. You should be grateful."
Grateful? How do you even know her address?
It's simple. I hired a detective. They can find out that much.
A detective?
Yes, I needed the address to send you two off.
You're the one who's supposed to leave.
I never said I was leaving. Starting today, you can live with her. Isn't it great you get to be together so soon?
What? Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding. I'm completely serious.
Why? My home is there.
Yes, that's our home. What are you doing?
Emma joined in on the speakerphone, her voice grating on my ears. "No, you seem to be mistaken, Ethan. This house is mine."
Stop joking around.
"You're the one joking around, Emma. Introducing a mistress to your husband and encouraging an affair. How could you do something so ridiculous?"
This isn't about that now. We told you to leave when you got divorced, so you're the one who has to go.
Did you really think I'd leave? Haven't you been informed?
Informed about what?
Emma, why are you shouting like that? You're disturbing the neighbors.
Shut up. The movers left all the boxes outside the apartment, and if you don't come here soon, everything will get soaked.
There's no point in me coming over. Everything in those boxes belongs to you too.
What? That can't be true.
Emma continued to scream hysterically. Emma, you're embarrassing yourself. The neighbors will think a crazy old woman has moved in.
Who are you calling crazy?
Anyway, from today, you two will live there. We're no longer connected.
No way. We're coming back and kicking you out.
That's not possible. If you enter the house without permission, I'll report you for trespassing.
You crazy woman. You're the one who's insane.
Just ask Ethan. He can explain whose house it is.
What are you talking about?
This is about whose house it is.
There's no need to ask. Ethan bought that house after he got married with you. It might not be a new house, but it's nice enough. That's why I agreed to live there.
Oh, what a big lie. But coming from someone who can lie about cheating, this kind of lie is easy.
What? What do you mean?
The truth is, this house was built by my parents before we got married. After they passed away, I lived here alone. When Ethan and I got married, I didn't want to leave my childhood home, so Ethan said, "Then let's live here." After we got married, Emma, you said you wanted to live with us. Since it's a big house, I thought it would be okay.
That's a lie. Ethan said he bought it so we could live together.
Emma, think about it. How could Ethan afford such a big house on his salary? Especially moving in right after the wedding. He could barely pay for the wedding itself.
No way.
So, this house is mine. You have no right to it whatsoever. You can ask Ethan.
Ethan, what does she mean?
I heard Emma's trembling voice over the phone. But Ethan seemed to be pretending not to hear, likely engrossed in his game as usual.
Ethan, stop playing that game and answer me.
Ethan tends to go deaf when things get inconvenient. It must be very inconvenient for him now, with all his lies being exposed.
Ethan, say something. Are you just going to let her mock us?
All right, fine.
Ethan's faint voice could be heard, and he seemed to take over from Emma, starting to defend their position.
Sure, it was your parents' house. But I live there now, so it's mine.
He sounded like a child. You could live there because we were married. That permission extended to your mother too.
Well, yes, but
But saying you bought it is a lie. That won't make it yours. The house is in my name entirely.
once we're divorced, the property gets split in half.
That's right. But we've never discussed this until now. Still, I inherited this house before we got married. Even if I inherited it after our marriage, it would still be mine. So, it's not considered a joint property. Too bad for you.
You must be kidding.
If you don't believe me, check it out. I'm just telling you what my lawyer said. Hearing Ethan's disbelief, Emma seemed to realize she was losing and jumped in again.
But what about the appliances and furniture? We need to split those.
Generally, yes, but all the appliances and furniture were my parents'. Of course, some things were replaced, like the $20 toaster. Do you want it? I can give you $10 for it, or you can give me $10 and take this old toaster.
No, I don't want it.
By the way, Ethan's junk is packed in those boxes. And so are your things, Emma. Normally, I would have thrown everything out, but since you both cherish your belongings, I didn't want to be blamed. So, it's all packed up for you.
Well, thanks for that.
Moving costs were not cheap, you know. It cost quite a bit. But since all the appliances are mine, at least there were no extra charges for moving those.
So that's why the bill was so high. What an amount.
It was expensive. I was shocked by the estimate too. But since I didn't have to pay, I wasn't worried.
But still, there's so much stuff.
Of course, most of it is junk, like holey socks, worn-out sneakers, and raggedy t-shirts.
Why didn't you just throw that stuff away?
When I asked if I could throw things out, what did you say? Don't waste. That's why things get ruined. Isn't that right? Yet, you never wore them and kept buying new ones. So, I couldn't throw them away. Do you have any complaints about that, Ethan?
And now you expect us to live in this tiny apartment?
I don't know if it's small or not, but you wanted to live with her, didn't you? So that's perfect, isn't it?
I'm telling you, it's impossible to live in this apartment with all this stuff.
That's your problem. You're the ones who chose to be with your mistress.
Hey, this is too much.
The divorce is finalized, so it's no longer my concern. And this isn't over. There's more to come, so be prepared.
What do you mean by that?
Ethan and Emma were stunned by my words, but I laughed and hung up the phone. Not long after, I received a distressed call from Ethan. Apparently, Hillary was furious.
What is this? I didn't agree to this sudden move.
I didn't expect this either. She sent us and our stuff here.
Then take it back.
There's too much. It's not that simple.
That's not my problem. I thought we were going to live in your big house once your ex-wife left.
That was the plan, but it didn't work out.
Why not? That house is yours, isn't it? Just take it back.
Well, actually, it's in my ex-wife's name.
What? You said it was yours.
Yeah, but considering the circumstances, I thought it was fair to let her have it after the divorce.
Unbelievable. So, what about us? How are we supposed to live in this tiny place with all these boxes?
That's the situation.
So we can't live in that house?
Yeah. Well, that's right.
Then buy a house, or at least rent a bigger apartment right now, with your salary.
That's not really possible.
Stop making so much noise. It's a small apartment, and all this shouting won't help, Hillary. We're stuck living here now.
What? Are you serious about living here? Then you need to pay 2/3 of the rent.
What? Why?
Because it's only fair. You show up with your mother-in-law expecting to live here without paying? If we're living together, you should pay rent, groceries, and utilities based on the number of people.
How cunning can you be?
Cunning? Trying to live here without paying anything is far more cunning. Most of this stuff is Emma's. Is all this really necessary? They're probably full of junk. I should charge a storage fee for all this stuff taking up my space.
I had no idea you were like this, Hillary. What a woman.
So here I am, not even married, dealing with a mother-in-law issue in a tiny apartment. I don't want to live here at this apartment, Stephanie.
Really? Sounds fun.
It's not a joke. My mom can't stand her, and she refuses to accept my mom. Even the neighbors are complaining about the noise.
I figured it would end up like this. I knew how hard it was to live with that mother-in-law without shouting at her. But I endured it for his sake. Why should I endure it anymore when we're not even married now?
And on top of that, there's alimony claim from you. What's that about? And child support too.
You cheated and divorced me. It's only natural to ask for alimony. Plus, I'm raising your child, so child support is also necessary.
I can't afford that. Paying that means I can't even move.
Then don't pay. But if you don't, I'll hire a lawyer. And be prepared, because hiring a lawyer will make it even more expensive. And I'll make sure you pay for the lawyer fees too.
Why?
Because they're good.
Please don't make me pay all this.
I could hear Hillary and Emma yelling at each other in the background of Ethan's whining. Despite the promises, he paid neither alimony nor child support. Realizing this wouldn't do, I hired a lawyer. The lawyer was as skilled as reputed and secured a lump sum alimony payment and a monthly child support arrangement. Knowing Ethan's irresponsibility, we added a clause to garnish his wages if he missed even a single payment. We also demanded alimony from Hillary to be paid in a lump sum. Hillary got furious, and a new argument erupted over why she should have to pay anything. Hillary blamed Emma for bringing them together, while Emma insisted Hillary was at fault for becoming a mistress despite knowing Ethan was married. Finally, Hillary said she couldn't stand living with such an old hag, shoved the alimony bill at Ethan, and kicked them both out. The two of them stayed in an internet cafe for a while, but Emma kept complaining it wasn't restful. Eventually, they managed to rent a cheap apartment. However, it was a rather spooky place right next to a cemetery. Emma, who was home all day, kept saying it creeped her out. Ethan tried to pacify her by pointing out they had a bed to sleep in, but her constant hysteria made it impossible for him to relax, even after a long day. Living under such conditions, Ethan couldn't maintain his sanity and eventually developed depression. Now he can't work or even go outside. It's tough not getting the child support payments, but considering how he treated me and our daughter, I hope he suffers. Meanwhile, my daughter and I live peacefully in the house, now free from Ethan and Emma. Our lives are undisturbed, filled with peace and happiness. Divorce is wonderful, I find myself saying with a smile.